McDonald's sells hamburgers. That's the whole idea of the company, in most people's heads. Burgers, fries, a drive-thru. But there's a quote from their own former CFO, back in the 1960s, that doesn't quite fit that picture. He said the company wasn't really in the business everyone assumed. Let me show you what he meant. McDonald's has over 40,000 restaurants worldwide. 95% of them aren't owned by McDonald's. They're owned by franchisees, regular people who bought the right to run a location. You'd assume McDonald's makes its money from those franchise fees and burger sales. That's only part of the picture. McDonald's controls the property beneath the vast majority of its restaurants. They own the land under close to half of all locations and hold long-term leases on most of the rest. They build the restaurant, then lease it back to the franchisee. Not just the building, the land underneath it too.
So when someone opens a McDonald's, they're actually paying for two separate things: a royalty on their sales and rent. Real monthly rent on the property they're operating on. In 2023, the rent alone brought in nearly $10 billion, almost double what royalties brought in that same year. If McDonald's had stuck with a traditional franchise model, just charging a royalty on sales, they would have made roughly a third of what they actually made. Adding rent on top nearly tripled their revenue. Think about that for a second. Every time someone buys a Big Mac, part of that money isn't just paying for beef, bread, and labor. It's flowing toward rent. Rent that McDonald's corporate collects, regardless of how that specific location performs. Because here's the part that makes this genuinely brilliant. If a franchisee struggles, if their location isn't profitable, McDonald's still collects rent. The land holds its value, whether the burgers are selling or not.
This is why McDonald's is sometimes called the fifth largest landlord on Earth. Their real estate holdings are estimated at over $42 billion. And it's not random real estate either. McDonald's is famously strategic about where they buy. Traffic patterns, vehicle counts, local demographics, development plans for the surrounding area. They're not picking a good spot for a burger joint. They're identifying property that will appreciate in growing neighborhoods, sometimes years before that neighborhood actually grows. And there's one more layer. Many of their leases include indexation clauses. Rent automatically increases based on inflation, and often based on how well the franchisee's location is performing. So as prices rise everywhere, as sales grow, McDonald's rental income rises right along with it, automatically, built into the contract. No renegotiation required. So here's the actual structure, once you strip away the burgers and the branding. McDonald's finds valuable land in growing areas, secures long-term control of it, builds a restaurant on it, leases that restaurant to an independent operator who takes on the daily risk, the staffing, the food costs, and collects rent either way. That former CFO wasn't exaggerating for effect. He was describing an actual structural advantage. The restaurants generate the traffic. The real estate captures the value. The burgers built the empire, but the land is what made it durable. If this changed how you look at McDonald's, hit like. And tell me in the comments, what other company do you think makes most of its money somewhere you'd never expect? See you in the next one.